My boy Dunn is still alive. He's still alive for now. He didn't become a zombie for now. He hasn't lost control of his Beyonder abilities for now. He's still alive for now. I still think he's being massively controlled by the Quill. I thought that was going to have something to do with the whole Saintus, but no, it looks like by all signs in this episode, the Quill's at work. This guy, Lannivus, has that Quill, and he is writing up a story, and it seems like it's affecting Dunn. Now, there's also another side of it that almost feels like, for some reason, the Quill or Lannivus was trying to get Klein to see Dunn do this whole procedure, but I'm still kind of trying to figure out what the hell that whole thing was. This whole idea of consuming the characteristics. I understand what they're kind of talking about there, and I think that's sort of what they may have been implying when he asked Dunn about the things that could not be sealed, the artifacts that could not be sealed. He said you don't want to know. And I think I had an idea back then that it was going to either be consumed or possibly just given to the higher ups so that they can utilize them and, keep them in hand. And I think that's what they're talking about here. Because whenever a Beyonder dies, they leave behind something. And what Dunn is solidifying in this episode is they always leave behind something. The Beyonder, when they die, they always leave behind their characteristics. They consume the characteristics of their potions, and they leave the characteristics behind. And then here, it either becomes sealed, which then it becomes an artifact to put inside of the Chanus Gate or whatever gate. And if not, they get consumed. And right there, yes, Kinley died, and Dunn went over there and consumed it. They send back usually, but I wasn't really sure if Kinley was of his sequence, but they're implying that he's of his sequence, so he was able to consume it. Kind of makes me wonder if possibly the heart that he chucked out wasn't his actual heart, it was just what was left behind because he was dying. That was his Beyonder abilities, his characteristics being left behind. And again, since it is something that is of his sequence, Dunn went over there and ate it. Which again, makes the question mark, was why it is Klein being told to go look at it, unless he wanted to sort of instill some sort of fear in Klein of Dunn, or some sort of doubt, which quickly gets dispelled, but still, it's there. But anyways, the episode. Episode 12. What an episode. Now I'm starting to see why 11, 12, and 13 was released at the same time in China. These three episodes seem to go well together, mainly because the idea that it's all one story. It's seemingly kind of building up this story, and none of the episodes end well. I mean, last week we had Dunn going crazy and consuming something. This episode, we got the crazy pregger chick morphing into something. It does look like these episodes were definitely intended to be all consumed as once, but it doesn't matter. It's fine. The last cliffhanger was the worst. This cliffhanger's not so bad. I'll be fine waiting for my final episode watch, which I'm probably going to watch it early next week and just post up my video. The translations between the two of them seem pretty spot on. There was like some things that were a little bit weird last episode, where the whole like skirt thing with the Saintus. Not, I'll keep you under my wings. It's I'll put you on my skirt. I think the skirt thing works better. But yeah, I'll probably watch that next week. But anyways, let's get the episode proper. Opening up the episode with Klein and Dunn after the aftermath with Sharon. And yes, Kinley dead. You have Klein showing up there. Again, it implies that if Lannivus is the one that's actually writing this stuff, which I'm assuming he is, Lannivus is writing Klein to go look at Dunn. And again, Dunn is consuming a part of Kinley. I like how it has this kind of... This entire episode was directed so beautifully, by the way. Like, the whole sequences with Moga's later on, and how she's, like, just going absolutely crazy. But, like, right here, that sense of dread that Klein has. He spots this, he runs around the corner, he's, like, going, I thought I seen something there. What is he doing there? And then suddenly, Dunn comes around the corner, and he's fine. And I thought for a minute there it was going to be like, okay, so he's being roped into paranoia. It's not that Dunn did anything. It's just Klein believes that he's doing something. It's somebody's writing some sort of doubt into Klein. But as we see, when Klein goes in that room afterwards and goes to do the spirit channeling, yes, he sees that something's missing from Kinley. And again, I assume it's the heart. Something was missing from the body, and I'm assuming it's going to be the heart. But either way, it's like this massive doubt that's suddenly put into Klein, and this continues in the next scene where, yes, you have Dunn is reporting this to Royal, and at the same time, Klein the entire time is going, but that's right. The mirror was given to Kinley, who actually proposed us to bring the mirror. It was Dunn. He's believing that Dunn purposely set this whole thing up just to get Kinley killed. That way he can consume him. Again, I think this is all the reason why that was wrote that. Again, as we find out later, supposedly this is what Dunn is supposed to do, but the person wrote this so that Klein could have some sort of doubt in Dunn, who he's supposed to trust. And that, I hate the thought of this, but I think this is all for purpose.
I think this entire episode, all of this doubt being sowed into Klein, even though it's dispelled later on, I think what's going to happen is because it's being wrote this way, it will come to an effect. And I think what's going to happen is next episode, something's going to happen where Klein is going to temporarily doubt Dunn, and it's probably going to end up Dunn dead. Dunn dead. It's going to end up with Dunn dead. I think Klein's going to have a doubt sown by this writing, sown by that Quill that's writing him to see this stuff, and it's going to cause that doubt for his death. Mark my words. I don't want it to happen, but I'm assuming it's going to happen. Because Dunn didn't die yet. That means he's probably going to die in the finale. We'll see. We'll see. It's either that or Melissa. I don't know why, but Melissa and Benson were just in the wrong place during that whole evacuation. I'm going, what are you guys doing out there? Get the hell out of there. But no, this whole after scene sucks, though. They have people out there in their morning. They have the receptionist lady. This poor receptionist lady needs to get out of there. Like, this girl needs to get out of this job. Like, she is just crying like crazy, and she's suffering. This girl is suffering. Why does this keep happening to people? Kinley just got engaged. Why do we become Beyonders? Why is it always disaster and just heartbreak for us all? And then later on, they catch her and she's crying in the receptionist room. It's like, girl, get this girl a different job. She doesn't need to be here. This girl's too pure-hearted. Poor girl. But anyways, apparently the spirit channeling has revealed that the Divination sect is working with the Aura, which we pretty much already had that implied with the whole story, and he's going to have Royal pretty much look into it. As we cut over to a brief scene of Leonard, which we get a hint at what's going on with that later on, but I didn't realize it until later on that, yes, technically it shows Lannivus 2 months prior, and he's walking about the streets, and he goes in this one building and into this room. And it shows sort of like Leonard essentially walking in his footsteps. And I thought at the time that it was doing like a parallel story, that yes, he was investigating into Lannivus, and at some point he found out where Lannivus was going to. I literally think that Leonard has the ability to see the past. He's using some sort of ability that he's able to see in the past, and he's literally walking in Lannivus' footsteps. He says something later on like, yeah, I was, going based on what you found, and I found this whole place here and everything like that. No, I think he's literally watching it, and he just makes up some bullcrap to Klein to not reveal that he's able to literally see where they were going. And again, I think it's going to be tied into his shadow, which this episode, the entire episode, I'm going, okay, the shadow moved again. Okay, he's asking the shadow for advice in the elevator. Okay, the shadow, we're hinting at this too much. They hinted at it way before. What was the whole episode with the Hiver guy dying when he was on the boat? At some point, his shadow shifted. I was like, oh, his shadow's got something special about it. And it seems like his shadow's actually talking to him. And I'm wondering if the shadow might be possibly telling him about Lannivus and where to go. Or the shadow could be another Beyonder that is possessing him that has some sort of sequence that is able to see into the past or divinate or something. But anyways, we get Klein. He goes home. Snuffs poor Melissa. This poor Melissa. I think she was trying to tell him about getting some tickets to go to a stage play or something like that. And Klein just completely blows her off. So I'm guessing that's where she was going with Benson later on. And she probably wanted to bring Klein with her, but he's so busy. Poor Melissa, dude. Klein's a jerk. She's like, breakfast is in the kitchen. Yeah, I'll do it if I can. It's like, poor girl. That poor girl. But anyways, Klein goes up to his room. He's freaking out about Dunn, so he decides to send a message to Dally and Azek. He then goes to do a divination, at which point he looks into Dunn himself to see if there's some sort of abnormality, but nothing comes up. He implies there's not enough info, and that's why it fails, so he decides to change the divination to safety of his own. Will Dunn's abnormality cause some sort of safety issue with me? And sure enough, the thing says yes. Which, again, right there, tells me something's still going to happen with this situation. And this can go in two different ways, honestly. The divination is saying Dunn's abnormality, which I'm going to assume the divination knows that he knows what he's talking about. The abnormality is specifically Dunn consuming things. So the act of consuming the characteristic. So if the divination is saying that that will cause some sort of danger for Klein, it makes me believe that yes, it could still be true that Dunn himself is not going to use that to harm Klein, but the fact that Klein's stuck on that will lead to a harm of Klein. And again, to my theory before, if he has this doubt in his head about Dunn and about the danger of him because he consumes the characteristics and has some fear that he's a mutant, could it lead to Klein hesitating because he witnessed that and it causes harm to him because Dunn dies and it hurts him? I don't know. The fact that the divination said that, despite the fact that later on Klein discovers something about what Dunn's actually doing, leads me to believe that it's still going to come to harm Klein. or possibly whatever Dunn consumes will cause him harm. It's interesting. It's interesting. Man, this episode's got me on down rabbit holes constantly. I love it. I love it. I love this stuff. And all the source material readers are like, oh my gosh, what the hell is he talking about? Shut up. Shut up. Anyways, yes, Azek's message basically just makes it worse for Klein. And the fact that, yes, it reminds him of vampires and mutants. So we're getting a confirmation that vampires exist in this world. Vampires are nearly extinct even before dragons and giants vanished from history. So a long time ago, the vampires were around. But I remember there's a certain sequence in one of the pathways where a potion is named Vampire. So there's still a chance that we still have vampires. So there's still a chance that we're going to get an episode with some hot vampires showing up and biting on people. Mark my words, going to happen. Now, I would assume that with that implies that the sequence number is probably going to be very low. Because if he's having to remember there's a potion like that, it makes me believe that it's very rare. This isn't going to be like a sequence 8 or 9 that seems to be very common and everybody talks about regularly. Mutants, on the other hand, he says the rumor has it that they are ordinary humans who are corrupt or cursed and become monsters under specific conditions. He might potentially be a mutant, just my guess. I think he still could be. Now, the reason for it is that this, again, is from Azek's perspective. He doesn't know what the inner workings of the church is. The church itself could be having them consume this stuff. He's saying that you're going to, increase the speed of your potion consumption with the idea that doing this will eventually lead to them being mutants. They will change at some point. So again, the church itself knows what will happen possibly. Dunn doesn't. Dunn is just doing what the church is telling him. Azek's saying this is what typically happens to the individuals disconnected from what's actually happening in the church. So he still could be considered a mutant by Azek's standards, but doesn't know that's what the mutants do. We'll see though. Because I can totally see the idea of a mutant itself essentially being just a Beyonder consumer. I don't know. Yeah, I love this whole sequence with this. Again, another great directing spot right here with the fact that he's sitting there consuming the meat. And it's just overly emphasizing his mouth and the chewing noise and the smacking. And then it cuts over to Klein's perspective and suddenly there's Dunn right there. And I'm like, holy crap, that was pretty spooky. They did that really well. But yeah, it's the point when she gets the message from Dunn to go see Leonard. Again, he goes to Leonard. Again, Leonard gives some excuse as to why he found some sort of lead to where Lannivus went to, this place that he was staying at. But I think he was probably using whatever's in his shadow to find that location, which makes me question why he wasn't able to find the letter. But then again, he could be including Klein now, so they're not suspicious of him finding everything in there. If he shows up with a letter and says, oh, I found out where Lannivus was, here's a letter, it would bring suspicion as to, what are you doing, Leonard? What is your capabilities here? I like that later on we finally have Klein literally going, all right, little poet, let's see what you got. Show us what you got, dude. I know you got some secrets there. Show us what your secrets are. But yes, the letter that he apparently wrote 2 months prior, there's a note there. Again, he was seeing him 2 months prior, walking in that building. I'm assuming 2 months prior, he put this letter in there. And the letter specifically says, okay, you guys aren't total idiots. You found my letter. Good job. Let's start a game. You have this place, which is an industrial location. Lots of people are in super bad states. Everybody's angry. Everybody's got resentment, all this kind of stuff. And it's the perfect place for the stage. I got a bomb set up here, and it's going to absorb things around it until it explodes. The more it absorbs, the more bigger the explosion is going to be. See if you can find it. Which leads them basically running to go to talk to Dunn, and on the way there, they're trying to figure out what they're talking about, which that was kind of the assumption I went to, is that this is going to be some sort of mysticism, some sort of ability or something, a ritual that is consuming the resentment around it, and that's slowly bottling up into this massive bomb that can end up going off. No, I wasn't coming to the conclusion that was going to be Pregger Lady. I was not coming to that conclusion quite yet. But yeah, again, another eyebrow-raising moment right here. At some point, he's bringing up the idea of it being some sort of mysticism. And then over here, Leonard literally looks to the wall where his shadow's at. And then very briefly then turns back and says, I agree. Again, it's he's asking the shadow right there. And I'm like, oh my gosh, all my theories around his shadow is coming true. Thankfully, the episode literally has it talk to him. So it pretty much 100% confirmed at this point. But at that point, I'm like, he's totally talking to his shadow. It even calls him a fool and stuff like that. I'm kind of curious about their relationship. But anyways, they go into the reception hall. And right as they're walking in there, Pregger Lady just randomly walks the front door. I love this because I think, yeah, at the time when they were first in the elevator, at some point, Klein is like, where is the altar? Is it underground? And they're trying to figure out where the bomb's at. And then sure enough, right when he walks out of that elevator, walks in that receptionist room, Suddenly, Prager Lady shows up. And it clicks for him there the same time it does me. That's the bomb. Right there, in that belly, that thing is swelling up. That is soaking up all that resentment. And I'm like, that's coincidence again. This is that whole coincidence thing again. Every time he thinks about something that he needs to find, that he needs to go look for something, boom, it's right there. Or there's a lot of cases where he looks at something and it says something and he goes, oh, that's interesting. And then suddenly it happens. Again, like all the Roselle diaries, every time they pop up, which I'm assuming at this point, all the Roselle diaries are wrote by the Quill and they're brought to him through Hangman and Justice. And then that's when they actually happen. Again, coincidences that are all wrote by that Quill. But yeah, she's came there because she just was told. She's just there because she just had a feeling to come there. I just felt like coming here. I just had a sense to come to the street. And I was told that this person would help me out by my child. What child? Right here. He did. She's crazy. I feel so bad for this lady too. She has gone through hell. I hate the fact that she's gone to the state that she is at the end of the episode because I really wanted her to kind of get through this. I knew she wouldn't because, again, by all signs, that's the person in the first episode. The crazy, psycho, deformed Prager lady from the first episode is legit her. I'm assuming that first episode is going to be like at the midpoint of the next episode. So I'm assuming she's not going to be able to go back to normal. And it sucks because this girl does not deserve this. Like nothing that she seems like she's done, she deserves this. She's a little off. It seems like she was a little off before, but especially now, this girl's gone through so much hell. But yeah, Klein looks at her and says, oh yeah, that's right. I haven't actually checked her with my vision. And sure enough, he said later on, I was told, do not look at it. Do not look at the god. Like literally his inner self was saying, you don't want to do that. Like, don't. It's like the error messages coming up and saying, alert, alert, don't look up. Alert, alert, error, do not look up. Really bad. This danger up here bad. He couldn't even look up. Like it's terrifying him. Yeah, it clicks very quickly that this has got to be some sort of god. So he tells Leonard to basically charm her, keep her calm. Use your charm, man. Just keep her calm. I'll be back. Runs off to go see Dunn. Dunn, we got a problem. We got a problem, Dunn. But yeah, the whole time that Klein is away, I really found this whole segment like heartbreaking. Again, this girl is literally just trying to find Lannivus. She wants to find Lannivus. We get to see her whole story because he brings up Lannivus and she starts talking about how he met her. That yes, she went to this one party. He was super wealthy, super charming, super kind, just a beautiful man. And of all the ladies that were lining up, he chose me. Took her out there, started dancing, showed her so many wonderful locations. But the sad thing is that it's showing us visually how he's really treating her, which is like, again, she spots her talking to, I forget who the guy's name was, one of the guys that he's working with. He immediately slaps her across the face. She doesn't mention it. And it cuts over to, yes, them meeting in the underground marketplace. And he's literally talking to the guy about, there's our girl right there. It's showing right there already that he's already planning on using her. Like, yeah, that's the one we're going to plan it in. Isn't she great? she's a great pawn, isn't she? She just does whatever I tell her to do. This is all premeditated. The moment he selected her in that ballroom, you know for a fact, there's my girl. I'm going to use her. Because she looks so stupid, she'll follow me. I can use her so easy. I can manipulate that girl so easy. Look at that look in her eyes. No matter what I do to her, she's probably going to follow my commands. Such a dirtbag. He's such a dirtbag. I feel so bad for this girl. Again, this was like her dream. This beautiful guy that shows me so many things. He's so kind to me and everything. All for that one point of just sticking on that mantle and go with the ritual. Walk out the room. It sucks. It sucks. But yeah, she's just ripping her hair out, trying to figure out where he's at. Super unsettling. The animation of pulling the hair and climbing on top of Leonard at some point, and the eyeballs are going different directions. Tell me more. Where's he at? What are you hiding from me? He's like, oh no, he's coming back for you. Don't worry. He's just running a little late. Oh, it's great. Just sits down. She's literally on a hair's line of sanity. Like the way they portrayed that was just so perfect and so unsettling at the same time. Yeah, I did notice the fact that the necklace itself, and I think they showed that before, it literally is the fallen creator. It goes the whole ritual as well, talking about the idea of transporting her body into a vessel for his descent. Boundless resentment is there, and it's going to be milk and honey for it, and it can be sweet nourishment for the spirit. So it's, again, the whole ritual is creating the idea of bringing this being into her stomach, making her a vessel, and then over time just absorb everything around it in order to feel it. That's what it seemed like the whole entire ritual's for. But yeah, Klein goes to see Dunn, and immediately when he goes to see him, he says that my spirituality warned me when I activated my vision not to look directly at a god. Again, implying this thing has got to be this spawn of the true creator. He also says that explains why Harver, who is tracking her, suddenly lost control. He's making the assumption here that's why he lost his control. I guess? But again, that doesn't explain why Neil. He says possibly Neil was influenced by him too. I guess if we never seen it and possibly at some point Neil came across him. But again, it kind of implied the idea of Neil was being manipulated by something else. Manipulated by the Hidden Sage. He even said the Hidden Sage talked to him. But again, it could have been through madness. He could have just been mad and crazy and just assumed, well, this is what we always listen to. This is like the pinnacle of knowledge. So obviously it's going to be the Hidden Sage that talked to me. I mean, I would like a easy answer and a possible, fixable answer as to why these people are losing control, but I don't think it's that case. But yeah, Dunn has them evacuate people. It says that the true creator spawn is at minimum a sequence 4 mythical creature. That would be easily our lowest sequence number at this point. That is crazy. They must immediately request aid from the Holy Cathedral, mandated punishers, and the machinery hive minds, at which point Klein really badly wants to get Azek over there. At some point, Klein's going to have to figure out how to summon Azek. He learned how to summon himself. He's got to figure out how to summon Azek at this point. I'm kind of wondering at this point if Azek's going to show up very quickly. Again, they imply the idea that Azek at some point is going to save Klein's life. He did the divination or whatever, and it said that at some point he was going to save his life. I'm kind of curious if it's going to be for this next fight. I think I've been theorizing that for a while because it looked like he was not doing very good in the first episode. But he says specifically in the letter, the one who stole your son's skull might appear soon. That, again, is going to be one of those moments where I feel like we're going to have a shot where Azek is literally riding on top of the skeleton, like at breakneck speed through the town as he's rolling up like, where's the guy who stole my son's skull? He's going to be pissed. But yeah, he says that it involves the true creator. It's coming. And then that's when Dunn and Klein go to the Channis Gate. So much happens in this scene. Initially, when they first arrive there, suddenly something hits Dunn. Like it has some weird effect on him as he's coming in there. Again, I'm thinking like every single time we have these moments, I feel like it could be possibly every time the Quill writes something. Every time he comes in there, every time that sludge goes across his eyes, I feel like it might possibly be the Quill. Now, here's the thing. The effects to Dunn are different. There's like 3 different effects that are happening around Dunn. The first is that almost pulse effect, which again, that could possibly be something sort of trying to push him through the Quill. The second effect is the comments that are being made, where we hear the voice and then we see the Quill hitting the ground or whatever. And then the third effect is the sludge to the eyes. When he went to go get the ashes, it had the Quill on the ground, and then at the end of it, we seen it on his eyes again. But I think it was the sludge too. All 3 of them could be the same thing, but I'm almost wondering if one of them might have something to do with his abilities as Beyonder, or possibly some sort of power from before, another Beyonder, a higher sequence or something like that he has consumed that he doesn't quite have full control over. But I'm thinking all 3 might be a Quill. I think all 3 might just be different ways of showing the fact that the Quill is affecting him. Stop, look at this, ask about this, different things that are affecting him with the Quill. Why it seems like it's always Dunn that we're getting visual cues of that the Quill is affecting him is the question mark. Yes, at the very beginning of the episode, Klein, it had the narration over him going in there and seeing Dunn. But why is it so going out of its way for Dunn specifically, especially again with the eye? The eye I can't seem to let go. It's not the same thing as the straight blue from the previous episode when he was consuming Kinley. I think that specifically has something to do with consuming Beyonder's characteristics. This is different. This, again, is like a shadow that goes over his eye. Again, it could very well just be his abilities. Something that he's not able to control. It might be something with a higher sequence. Well, I don't know. I'm over-speculating. Reel it back in. They go in the Channis Gate. Klein wants to get the mutated sun sacred emblem, and apparently somebody from Backland has already taken it. He's like, coincidence again? Coincidence again? They only have 3 grade 2 artifacts left. 2 have unknown effects against high sequence Beyonders, so apparently they don't want to use those because they don't know what will actually happen. But the Blood Vessel Thief apparently is proven effective against them. It can steal an ability from a target within a certain range, though probability is low. That makes me kind of wonder, again, they're assuming this thing is going to be a high sequence mythical creature, but what would be the point in bringing up that it can take away an ability? Like, what are they expecting that this true creator is going to have ability-wise that it can steal from them? I don't know. I guess we'll see probably in the next episode. But he says that anything that touches it will have their life energy stolen. So that makes me more think that he's just going to apply the thing to the creature, thus letting it absorb its life energy. But that's the warning to Klein, saying that you as a sequence 8, it's going to take you out within 30 minutes. Like, your time limit is 30 minutes. Do not use it more than that. Now, here's the thing that throws me off, because it sounded like Klein was the one that said, I will take this, but then Dunn asks him what you going to take, and then Klein says, no, I already have something else, which I'm guessing is going to be the emblem that he made. Dunn gets a different plan. Or, I'm sorry, the Quill has a different plan for Dunn, and that Dunn is going to get Saint Selena's ashes, because we see the Quill, and we keep hearing Saint Selena, which, again, I'm assuming is the pin writing Dunn to get Saint Selena's ashes, which right here pretty much confirms to me whoever is controlling the Quill wants those ashes. So even though Dunn's going to go out there with the ashes, this whole thing, like everything right now, and I kind of wonder if even Megasims herself coming there, everything right now, this whole situation at this headquarters, everything is for those ashes. I think they want those ashes out. Or, again, because they implied the Saint Selena ashes are literally the core of the Channis Gate. It is the seal for this place. He says later on, the core seal of this gate is gone. Good luck to you guys. May Goddess bless you. It literally, they had to remove the core from the Channis Gate, which I'm assuming is the thing that has been protecting it this entire time, keeping everything in check possibly as well. That has been removed. So either whoever's writing the pin wants those ashes, which implies they're very, very powerful, and it takes literally the Holy Church itself to give approval for, or they wanted that seal gone just to get to all these sealed artifacts that are in there. Everything in there. We'll see. But again, I don't think it was Dunn's choice. I think they wanted him to do it. Now, it implies later on, based on whoever's talking to Leonard, this thing has the ability to destroy this thing that's within her. So at least whatever's in his shadow knows how powerful it is. And it seems like Dunn's pretty confident with it. But again, he could be wrote to actually have that confidence. It says the Saint Selena's ashes is a high sequence beyond her ashes, which I'm guessing her name was probably Saint Selena. That they had somebody within this organization named Saint Selena, and she was a high sequence beyonder and died, and her ashes became a sealed artifact. But it doesn't say what it does. It just says it's a core seal for the Channis Gate. But yeah, the Holy Cathedral is sending reinforcements. No word on the coincidences, and they head in there. Before, Magos goes crazy. I like the shadow is literally telling Leonard, dude, get out of here. Ain't worth it. You're a fool. Let's go. Escape now. I wonder if it's an aspect that shadow has like a desire for Leonard not to die, or if again, possibly because he's his shadow, he's literally tied to Leonard. And so Leonard's safety is sort of his concern. Like, dude, I don't want to die too. This thing's crazy. Please get out of here. There's no point in staying here. But I mean, give massive respect for Leonard. It, again, implies the fact this guy does care for this place. He said that before. I don't mind you, Klein, having secret abilities or powers or whatever. Just don't be my enemy. Don't be an enemy of this place, and we're cool. That's all he cares about. I won't pry into you. You don't pry into me. Just don't touch this place. So he does care for the place. Yeah, Dunn realized that the evil god spawn is barely stable, at which point he goes to go upstairs. He tells Klein to stay behind. But before he leaves, he said, I got a message from Dally. I got that message from Dally for you. Chucks it over towards him. She insisted that I tell you myself. You know, he sent Dally that letter that said, hey, what's wrong with Dunn? Yeah, she sent me a letter and said, go tell him what's going on. It's like another one of those things where, yes, Dally has discovered things the church has told her not to tell anybody else until she can find somebody else that has figured it out. This is the second thing. Her and Dunn figured something out. Church says don't tell anybody. Church continues to be sus. But yes, this is where things get a little weird. And I'm not really quite 100% sure, but I think I gather it. He says, in mysticism, there exists a law. The characteristics of a beyonder are never destroyed or reduced, merely passed from one carrier to the next. Again, implying, I'm assuming the characteristics is your powers as a beyonder. That when you consume that potion, you get beyonder abilities. those characteristics are your characteristics. Those powers are your characteristics. And again, that makes sense to the fact that when Beyonders die, it doesn't go away, it becomes an artifact. Every single one of them leaves behind something, and we've always known them as artifacts, sealed artifacts, or not sealable artifacts. And again, previously, when we talked about sealed or unsealed artifacts, Dunn said, don't ask about the ones that don't get sealed. You don't want to know. And I was curious back then, why is this not supposed to be known? He gets into it right here. When Dally and I discovered this, the Holy Cathedral told us to keep it a secret and gave us two choices. The first, submit all Beyonder characteristics to the Holy Cathedral. So again, every single time they find those, like the eyes of Neil, pick them up, stick them in a bag, send them off to the Holy Church. Second, for sequences of the same pathway, consume them yourself. So I'm guessing, again, it says choices. So I'm guessing the idea here is that you're always sending them to the church, but your second choice is that if they are the same pathway as you, consume them. Because, he says, I wasn't sure of their true intentions. At the same time, this greatly affects my potion digestion. So he found his own way as well. And Dally has that as well, which kind of makes me wonder if Dally was able to sequence up quickly because she started consuming a lot of Beyonders. She's like knocking out Beyonders so that she can consume them to digest faster so that she can go to the next sequence quicker. He said, I still made my choice to be with them forever. So Dunn's possibly right here choosing to consume them, yes, to affect his digestion, but two could be because he likes the idea of them staying at his side, which this reveals two things. Yeah, that Kinley was of the same sequence as Dunn, which I don't remember ever seeing that. But two, he's bringing Kinley with him. Kinley will stay at his side. He will fight with him, basically. That's something that Dunn, I think he sees. Which again, very interesting. Very interesting. I think that's what it's basically saying there about the characteristics and all that stuff. It's all in like the wording and translation. Sometimes I fear that some of this stuff is getting lost because they translate differently every single time. But both the Tencent version and the Crunchyroll version both say the same exact thing. So I'm assuming it's supposed to be characteristics. So yeah, that kind of at least alleviates the fear about Dunn becoming some sort of zombie thing like they made us believe at the very beginning of the episode, but doesn't explain, again, what's clouding his eyes. Is that the Quill? Is there something legit affecting him? I sort of had a theory, the possibility that, again, this could be negatively impacting Dunn. He's doing this because the church told him, and it's helping him digest his potion faster, but is there side effects to it? Could this literally be something where the church is just experimenting with them? Yeah, each your own sequence. We'll see what happens, and we'll if it works out for him, we'll try it too. That kind of thing. I don't trust the church. I don't trust this church. They're too sus so far. Anyways, yes, the Preggers lady goes crazy, starts growing really huge, contorting around, and it smacks Leonard around until eventually the guy writes, the final act begins. The birth is imminent. And that's where we leave it. Really bad cliffhanger point, but good stuff, dude. This episode was really good, though. Like, just nonstop. Just, like, constantly the next coincidence pops up. I think the moment the Pregger chick shows up, it was just like nonstop. Holy crap, what are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing? And then the reveals around Dunn and everything just out of nowhere. Hey, let's take a break to tell you about consuming your friends. It just doesn't let up. And I'm very anxious about the next episode. Again, I'm 100% sure Dunn's going to die. I think they faked him out already, and I think he's set to die. And again, I think it's going to be because he was wrote to see that doubt, and it's going to lead to Dunn's death. I still think Isaac's going to show up to fulfill the prophecy of saving Klein's life. But again, I think this is going to be the whole battle in the first episode. There's going to be some epic battle with Big Pregger Chick. We'll see where it ends, or if the entire script gets thrown on its head. But I hope you guys enjoy this video as always. I greatly appreciate you guys' support dropping by here. I hope you guys enjoyed my discussion of the episode. Again, if you've watched the finale, I know that a lot of people have. Please leave it out of the comment sections. We'll handle that stuff next week. We'll get into that stuff next week. But I appreciate you guys' support, all of your kind words. And until the next episode, y'all take care.